Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/thebplus and subscribe today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one! Andre!
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list!
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy! Goodbye and good night. Hold two! On bar!
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three! Lamas covers! Three-handle family Gradunzo!
Mamma mia!
And now,
Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
number four, armbar!
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more! I got 200 more holes to list!
Good afternoon to all you lovely people who enjoy the Graps in the B Plus Nation. I'm your man of mystery, Mr Myster1ous, and welcome to All The Wrest, the podcast where you're just inundated with your wrestling news and you're just thinking, what else is there out there? You come to me. You come to your man of mystery. A little bit of opening tidbits here for the birthday news. I've got the man known as Teddy Hart, the MLW middleweight champion, who turned 39 today as the time I'm recording, and also super producer Greg's one of his favorite wrestlers, Brian Cage, former Impact Activision champion, the Terminator, turns 35 today. The man who has muscles on muscles on muscles. If you've not seen him or heard of him, type it, look him up. Like, trust me, I'm talking complete. Everything I'm saying is true right now. Just a reminder, guys. We've had a little bit of a change to our little schedule now. So with our View from the WWE Universe, we've actually split them into two groups, where we've got for Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live, we've got CJ and Danders covering the news there, where CJ talks about his fantasy bookings and Danders just squashes his dreams. Pretty much how it goes. And we've also got the NXT and NXT UK side is being covered by Greg and Big Boy Mikey. They cover that aspect. We've also got our Impact Wrestling, our bonus episodes. Got a lot of stuff. But for right now, guys, we're going to focus on all the wrestling news here. I'm going to be talking a little bit of MLW, a little bit of AEW, and just all the hot topic news coming off the desk. Now, I have been really excited to be talking about this one, and this is MLW episode 41, main evented by LA Park versus Sami Callihan in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This is already, for me, the match of the year for MLW. They could obviously outdo themselves, but I watched this entire thing, and this is really weird. This is a really strange episode because there was no build-up to it. I feel like same as last week, I might have touched on this, but they just had the episode. They didn't announce it a few days in advance, so there's no fanfare, and there was no real news about who was going to be a part of it. All we knew was that the main event, of course, and that Kota Brazil will be back. Didn't know against who, but there you go. And yeah, this was one of the best MLW episodes we've had for quite a while. And that's not to say that the other episodes have been awful. It's just the fact that, you have only an hours worth of entertainment to watch all the stars from MLW, and it's a big roster, and then not a lot of them get a time to shine. So when you have a really big match, you want to highlight that. And of course, we've got Superfight coming up this weekend, so we're going to be getting even more news of MLW, which I am all for, guys. I'm all for that. So we started off with Ode, because Rex Bacchus, he appeared in MLW a few episodes ago. I believe I did address him during the last time he was on MLW. It was just a nod because he recently passed away from cancer at the age of 35. So our condolences are with him and his family at this time. But starting off, we had Kota Brazil going up against Vandal Ortegan. So this was Koto's first match since being stabbed in the eye with a champagne glass by Ricky Martinez. Koto doesn't look like he's really selling the fact that he had an eye injury. Like, he's got the eye patch on, but that's about it. He doesn't look like he is unencumbered. Like, his style hasn't changed at all. And there were some moments where Vandal was, of course, focusing on the eye. But in terms of Koto being not up to 100%, he seemed great. So there was a little bit of... I kind of wish he sold that a little bit more. But in terms of the match, it was a great return to form for Koto. Like, he did not one, not two, but 3 suicide dives, right? Like, consecutively. This was just a way for Kota Brazil just to show off all of his movesets. Like, and he did a Tope con Hilo. Like, just, you would think his depth perception, again, would be a little bit off with half the shit that he did. But no, he was in fine form. Vandal took it on the chin. Like, despite losing in this match, like, he did quite well. I actually want to see more of him. It was really hard fought affair. Like, these guys, there was a double rolling German suplex by Koto, a bridging German suplex pin by Koto as well. Just for the finish, Brazil hit a cutter, then he nailed a running sliced bread for the victory as a sliced bread variation. And after the match, Ricky Martinez stormed to the ring, ambushed Brazil from behind and smashed him into the turnbuckle, and continued with a front suplex stamp and stole his eye patch as a souvenir. I feel like Martinez is slowly getting a little bit of a heat with this. I'm watching it in anticipation. That's all I'll say. It's not irking me. I reckon that they can put on a really great showing at Superfight. So we'll see how that one goes. We had a few promos, guys. You had Tommy Dreamer over the phone saying how he doesn't care who Brian Pillman chooses for their upcoming tag team. When they face, would they choose their own tag team partners? Pretty standard stuff. And of course, next week they've actually announced that Brian Pillman Jr. and Tommy Dreamer will once again face off in an empty arena match. Now, I don't like empty arena matches personally. I feel like they're kind of a bit cringy. Some of them can be pulled off really well. So we'll see how they go there. And if there's anyone who could pull it off a bit better, and as long as you sell the intensity of it, I feel like you could get a lot out of Brian Pillman with Tommy Dreamer. So our second match was Barrington Hughes versus Ace Romero. Now, just last week, they teased the fact that, these guys might face off, and I thought, maybe they're going to do it at Superfight, or they might build up after Superfight. But no, just casually, the week after Barrington Hughes was on commentary, we have him going up against AC Baby at 865 pounds in one ring at the same time. Big boys. Big boys. You had, I would say, the stuff about the match, but really they only went for about 2 minutes, if that. They just traded blows. They did a little bit of an elbow tie-up, and then they were immediately interrupted by Colonel Parker, who manages the Dirty Blondes, and he just insulted them for their weight. He was just saying, there's a pie-eating contest down the road, and all this shit. And then all of a sudden, the Dirty Blondes attack Barrington Hughes and AC Romero from behind. So then you would think that the match would be called off for no contest, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just oh no, this is now a tag match. Okay. I rolled with it, and before they could even sort out in the chaos who's legal man or whatever, no, it's just a chance for Barrington Hughes and AC Romero to manhandle the Dirty Blondes. They slam them into each other. They both do World's Strongest Slams, shades of Mark Henry. 1, 2, 3, double pinfall, out the way. Dirty Blondes, they're the job squad for the tag team division. I enjoyed this. I didn't realize this because Barrington Hughes was a team with Koto Brazil, the Smash and Dash connection. And now that they're pushing Koto as a single star, what do they want to do with Barrington? And we have the world's biggest tag team, potentially. You've got Caramel Chocolate and you've got AC Baby. And I could see this going well. They could continue a feud with Dirty Blondes, maybe, get some more tag team action going. Or we could see them maybe being a challenge for whoever comes out the champions in Super Fight. Maybe the Lucha Brothers, maybe the Hart Foundation. Who knows? We had a couple more promos, guys. We had H2 TV. It's back. We had a little bit from Brian Pillman Jr. and Teddy Hart. They discussed their tag team opportunity against the Lucha Brothers. And, of course, we saw Hart's Cats. We saw Casper and Mr. Velvet. Of course, they have their own Instagram. Follow them on Instagram, guys. It's really cute. As a fellow cat lover, I approve. There are a couple more promos, guys. We had Low Key responding to Tom Lawler. He's like on point, suited up, and he's saying how Low Key's been making weird interferences about Lawler missing chunks of his finances, his wife and his kids. I don't know what he's trying to allude to there, right? He made a lot of inferences, right? Whether he's like focusing too much on being a fighter, whether he's unfaithful. I don't know what he was going for. But nevertheless, Loki just, letting everyone know that his reputation precedes him. Undefeated in the past 15 years for a reason. And some say he's too serious or take things too far. But come this Saturday, he's going to take things to the extreme. Solid stuff from the professional. I love it. And we had Sami Callihan mock crying about Promociones Dorado's message about saying that he was good for nothing and that he was going to be walking out. He was going to be dead or wishing he was after this match. So he had a nice promo from him, like saying I'm glad that he's not a face. I'm really glad that that's what is happening here. So I'll talk right now about the main event. This was amazing. This is they acknowledge that this is a Falls Count Anywhere match rather than a, quote, referee's discretion match. So we start out, the guys are trading chops together. Immediately, Sami Callihan has blood bruises. And he's in a fit of just one-upsmanship, he takes off his leather vest and LA Park gives him the biggest chop ever that makes Sami Callihan cry. He starts crying to the delight of Selena. And LA Park is in his element. He's dancing. He's messing up. He does a suicide dive onto Sami Callihan. These guys fought all around the ring, all around the arena. And then we ended with this chair spot where it looked like Sami was going to set up for the power driver. But then out of the blue, LA Park was able to spear him into it and pin him onto the chairs. There was only one spot in that match where I was just like, oh, really? And it's the fact that the referee was injured. You can't see my quotey fingers. And it looked like LA Park had got the win. But as he was about to do the 3 count, he just grabs his ankle and just I can't go on. I can't go on. And it looks he's going to pass out from the pain. I was expecting another referee to come out, but no, all of a sudden he's just, I can, with all the strength I can muster, I can do one last 3 count. It was really corny. But in terms of the workmanship between Sami Callihan and LA Park, this was an amazing, amazing match. Anyone who is unfamiliar with MLW, please show them this episode. You're not going to regret it, guys. I had so much fun with this. We've got Super Fight coming out this weekend, so we're going to be inundated with back-to-back episodes of MLW, which I am all for. So you're going to have, next week I mentioned, the Pillman versus Dreamer in the Empty Arena match. And then, whatever comes out of that, who knows? But it already looks like a stacked card. Of course, I'm looking forward to the Hart Foundation and the Lucha Brothers, but you got Low Key and Filthy Tom Lawler. You've got AC Romero going up against Simon Gotch. You've got MJF returning. There's so many factors to play. Mance Warner's going to debut. Like, we need more debuts in MLW. So I will continue to gush about MLW at a later date, but for right now, we're going to talk about the Elite. Be Elite. You know the words, you know the lyric, guys. Come on. So, episode 136 of Being the Elite, How Dare You Defy Me? So, this one was focusing on the Young Bucks' appearance at Defy Wrestling last week, which they are slowly appearing everywhere, and they are continually now appearing. They're teasing appearances all around everywhere. So, I think the latest one was for the Super Bowl. SCU's going up against the Lucha Brothers in Atlanta somewhere, and they actually teased saying that Matt Jackson wanted to make sure he doesn't miss this. So somewhere in Atlanta, maybe you will see the Young Bucks maybe pop up. Maybe they'll bring some more friends. I would love to see that. So this episode, How Dare You Defy Me, we had, aside from focusing on the Young Bucks just having to be ninjas and just appear out of nowhere, which that whole thing was just beautiful. And the crowd there were so, like, they were popping so hard for those guys. It was like, it brought the Young Bucks nearly to tears how big the response was. But aside from that, we had Cody and Brandy talking to each other about the fact that Marty Skrull, like, according to Cody, Marty Skrull is dead, which it's like, I'm sorry, Brandy, you need to move on. Like, you're in denial. Poor Marty. It's not like he's doing well in Ring of Honor, part of Villain Enterprises, but in Cody's eyes, like, no, he's dead. We move on. Oh, before I forget, we opened because we had the last episode where the Elite came to save Joey Ryan. And then that was how we opened, just saying like, oh, thanks for saving me, guys. Maybe you guys could save me again. Saying that, oh, I would love to be a part of AEW. Like, I'll sign any contract without even looking at it. And then one of the Young Bucks just turns to him and just says, oh, yeah, you're that guy who signed with Lucha Underground for life. And then we cut to the intro, just like, oh, that's such a sick burn. Like, you feel bad for Joey, but at the same time, especially Evilise, if you listened to the episode a few weeks ago, you feel bad for them, but just like, it sucks to hear about Lucha, because I love Lucha, and to hear that they are forcing their superstars to be a part of Season 5, which may or may not happen, so they are locked in these contracts. It just sucks. But back to Cody and Brandy. So Cody was actually he put pictures of MJF over Marty Skrull's face, and he wanted to hang them up on the wall. And like, he's just saying, like, just two handsome dudes. And he implied that he thought that it was a better photo than that of him and his wife, maybe. And saying that, and Brandy's just like, you've seen me, right? And he's just like, yeah, I've seen you naked. And she's listing her assets and just like, get out of here. Saying that he looks better than me. And Cody still hangs the photo up on the wall of MJF and Cody. Marty Skrull with MJF's face on it, which I am looking forward to the dynamic between those two. We'll see more when MJF. I wonder how MJF is going to return in MLW. It should be great, but yeah, one of the highlights definitely is now Cody and MJF. How they will play before AEW, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see them at the ticket announcement. That would be great. We had more of Joey Janela. What will he do next? Last week was Magic. The week before that was football. This week, construction. He is not good at construction, guys. He burns his eyes and he runs into a wall. Yeah, no construction for Joey Janela. Poor guy. But yeah, that was pretty much what happened with Being the Elite. You had the Snicker story told by Kazarian to Scorpio Sky. Apparently, Christopher Daniels' tooth, which is not... Sorry, we couldn't see what Christopher Daniels looked like after he had lost his tooth, but apparently it's hilarious and hideous and all those other adjectives, so maybe that will play into a future storyline, but I don't know. we'll see what happens there. A really good story going on with this, and apparently, one of the Young Bucks was talking to someone saying, "Oh, I'm glad you found your phone." Potentially Kenny Omega, and we had a countdown clock to about 9 days from now, probably earlier by the time I'm recording this and releasing it. So what happens in about 9 or so days? Well, we're in February now, so that means that a certain Omega star would have finished his contract with New Japan, and then we can finally get the answer. Where is he going? Where is this quote-unquote large international platform? Please be AEW. But we do not know just yet. It feels like it's definitely AEW with the fact that the Young Bucks are teasing it. We get the countdown clock. I love the countdown clock. I would give you guys news on NWA. We usually talk about 10 pounds of gold, but again, for the second straight week, no news on 10 pounds of gold. And even more so, there is no extra matches. So there's no morsels of new information I can give you guys about NWA, which sucks. Like, someone please, I mentioned this last week and I will repeat myself. Billy Corgan, the hell, man? I need my NWA fix. The only thing we know for sure coming in April is the Crockett Cup. We had the first qualifier match at the pop-up event back at the start of January. Like, some prestigious stars have won the Crockett Cup, of course, and it'll be great to see how they will continue that and what further matches they will bring about to qualify for the Cup. But there's no news. So I thought they were waiting for Tim Storm to react to Nick Aldis' challenge, and that would be the next 10 pounds of gold, but there's been silence. So, dick move, guys. Dick move. So you will not get silence from us. I will get to you guys with more wrestling news after we cut to Super Producer Greg with our sponsors.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, Greg, curious question for you, man. Have you been shopping recently?
I have not.
Mate, well, I've got some good news for you. I know you're not a big fan of crowds, as most of us here at the B Plus aren't. Have you heard of Threadbox?
I have heard of Threadbox.
Man, then you would know how good they actually are. I mean, I just received my first crate, and holy moly, I'm amazed. Guys, if you're listening, go check out threadbox.com.au, and they have everything from hats to socks to shirts to pants. It's fantastic. With email to a personalized stylist and customizable crates, it's honestly one of the best things I've had. I don't know about you, Greg, but I really enjoy it.
I got a crate the other day, and they gave me new jeans, a couple of new shirts, and the cool thing is, one of the shirts I tried it on, and it was a little bit long for me, and I thought this accentuates how short I am in person, and so I sent them an email, and I was just like, hey. This shirt, I feel like it makes me look really short because I'm kind of short. And they were like, send it back. We'll give you something else next month, like an extra thing. So I'm going to send that shirt back. And then next month, they're going to send me out something else. And I said to them, I've got lots of shirts. And they were like, well, we'll send you some accessories. And that's how Threadbox do it. It's kind of fantastic.
See, how good's that? And with our special code, the B Plus 15 at checkout, actually saves all our fans 15% at checkout on their first box. How cool is that?
Yeah, so head to threadbox.com.au today and use the code the B Plus 15 to get your first box as soon as you can. We are all WWE fans here. It's why we're here, listening to this show and spending inordinate amounts of hours consuming, complaining, and just generally eating, sleeping, and breathing professional wrestling. But if you want to take that to the next level, the only place to do it is WrestleMania 35 in the city so nice that they named it twice, New York. And our new friends at All Aussie Travelers are going to help you make that happen in the best way possible. They are new to the wrestling travel game, granted, but they have over 15 years experience in sports and event tours between the US and Australia, so you know you're in good hands. They want to offer you an exclusive WrestleMania package, including return flights to the USA, 6 nights at the New Yorker Hotel right next to Times Square. And the thing that sets these packages apart are the VIP suites that AAT have secured for WrestleMania. So that's, of course, the Raw after WrestleMania. So not only are you going to go to the Hall of Fame, not only are you going to go to WrestleMania 35, but for NXT TakeOver, SmackDown Live, and the Raw immediately after WrestleMania that next night, you are going to be in an exclusive VIP suite that is not normally available to the public. But AAT, they got it locked down. They got it waiting for you with your name on it, your own private entrance, your own private toilets and bar, as well as an unparalleled view in the most comfortable seats in the house. You can experience WrestleMania weekend like never before, all at really competitive prices. So head over to All Aussie Travelers on Facebook, hit that like button, send him a message, send an email to Jack, that's JAAK, at allaussie.com.au, and let them know the B Plus sent you.
And we are back, guys. Let's get into all the wrestling news. Let's start with the housekeeping. Of course, we'll start with where we always start, the injury list. And we have Ember Moon, who it's been announced on WWE.com as well. So Ember Moon had to have elbow surgery. She's had not the best history with her elbow, and her health has been a bit sporadic on both NXT and on the main roster. So it sucks. I don't know how long she'll be away for, but former NXT Women's Champion, it looks like she was going to be a big star. Like, I can see her being the one to take down whoever is the Raw SmackDown's Women's Champion out of out of Becky Lynch or Charlotte, wherever they end up. I saw this photo that someone put up of the 4 horsewomen having all the gold at WrestleMania, and I thought, that is perfect. I want that image in my mind. So you have Sasha and Bayley as the tag champs, you have Becky as the Raw champ, and you have Charlotte as the SmackDown champ, and you have the main event, WrestleMania close, with the 4 horsewomen. So we heard from Kevin Owens that he actually just wrestled Adam Cole for the first time in 4.5 years. He said that there was exactly 1 spectator. He gave it a 51.25 stars. And if you're wondering why it received a 1/4 star, it's because Owens said the finish was a hip toss. So I hope KO comes back far sooner than WrestleMania, but we will see what happens there. Obviously, the injury list is starting to clear up. I'm actually really happy with this. Usually we have to talk about numerous stars who get injured and we don't know when they're going to return. So Ember Moon, we don't have a time frame for her, but with any luck, it should only be a couple months, but we will see how long that goes for. And I should mention as well last week how I wasn't too sure about what was going to happen. John Cena, how I wasn't convinced that he was actually injured, but they announced the day of the Royal Rumble that, oh no, he's definitely injured, he can't compete. So they waited till the very last minute for people to buy tickets on the off chance that they might see John Cena and just pull the rug out from under them. A little bit disheartening, business tactics, a bit unethical. It's kind of the reason why they waited so long for Braun Strowman to be announced for the Universal Championship, and then they, like, all of a sudden fined him and took him out of the spot and replaced him with Finn Balor because they didn't believe that, reportedly, according to Dave Meltzer, that Finn Balor would be a bigger name to sell tickets than Braun Strowman. Yeah, not cool, WWE, not cool. We have returns. So we had Rowan returned at the Royal Rumble. He is now an intellectual of the planet's champion, the best SmackDown WWE champion, Daniel Bryan. And I'm really happy with this. Of course, it's weird to think that Rowan was part of the Wyatt family with Daniel Bryan, but not only that, he wore the sheep mask as well, and then he was a barbarian. So he's now a vegan. He was really a sheep in wolf's clothing. Are we reversing that somehow? Well, I'm looking forward to see what I'm looking forward to is, will Daniel Bryan be the cult leader that Bray Wyatt never was? He could bring back the Wyatt family as just like the Straight Edge Society, these vegan warriors, and they don't have the mystic elements. Then eventually they bring back Bray Wyatt and they'll have a feud. I'm just fantasy booking right now, so I'll get back into stuff. So that's really the returns that we've got. But for leaving WWE, leaving all the wrestling world, is former WWE champion Dean Ambrose. It was reported on The Torch that Ambrose was not happy with his current storyline in WWE. He was not happy with WWE Creative and just his direction going forward into WrestleMania. after WrestleMania, and he chose not to renew his contract. So his last scheduled appearance with WWE will be WrestleMania, so April. Then after that, he's a free man. And it was confirmed the very next day by WWE themselves. They released a press statement saying that, unfortunately, Dean Ambrose is no longer a part of WWE come April, which is a big news. Like, especially, so now we are down, so we had the 3 Shield members. We had Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins. And now Reigns is dealing with his health. Ambrose is leaving to parts unknown. Where could he end up? Like, I would love him to be a part of Impact. That he could do a storyline with Sami Callihan, whether they, like, the 2 unpredictable psychopaths together, or they be a tag team. I would love to see them as nemesis first. He could, of course, any news where people are leaving, you hear the rumors they're going to be a part of AEW, which you never know. But it's all speculation at this point. But it's just the fact that one of WWE's former champions, one of their big singles champions who led the company at one stage, is fed up with the direction of WWE going forward. That's saying something. And WWE are on the back foot. And they are lashing out, supposedly. They are making things a little bit worse for them, because if you saw in this past SmackDown and this past Raw as well, WWE actually prevented a AEW fan, a wrestling fan. He came in with the AEW shirt. He made him change, right? It went viral, this video, where this fan was forced to change his shirt. Now, if you watch SmackDown, there were some fans in the crowd who had AEW shirts on, so they must have missed. But if they just took a section with this one person, I have no idea. But the video found its way all around on the socials, and it, of course, caught the attention of the Young Bucks, who they put up saying that if you bring a WWE shirt to an AEW show, we will not do this to you. So WWE have just made their situation 10 times worse. Good job on them. This was a rumor a few weeks ago that WWE were going to do this at the rally at the start of January, the New Year's rally, that WWE had done this, and now look, like, they've literally done this, the thing that we were going to abhor them for. But that's just really bad form from them. And add to that, it feels like I'm bashing on WWE right now, but I'm just reporting the facts here. Apparently WWE are trying to lock down all their current stars who could potentially leave, like Dean Ambrose did, who hadn't renewed their contracts yet, who have got a year, 2 years left, and they want to re-sign them to 5-year, multi-year deals, like 5-year deals. So they are ensuring that the stars that they have now, that they are staying there, and they're trying to double their offers. They're trying to do all that they can to make sure that they do not leave. So it feels like WWE are really trying their utmost to just nip AEW in the butt before it starts, but they're not going to do anything. And it feels like the way they're going about their business is just, it's not right. It's not right, and it feels like they are really scared. And I should mention as well, not only has Dean Ambrose left, but Hideo Itami, Kenta, is leaving as well. He has signed his papers, and he should be out in the next month or so. And the rumor is, of course, that everyone wants to see him back in New Japan, but he might go back to Noah. He might go back to other Japanese promotions where he is more, most famous for. And I was really rooting for him in the Royal Rumble in the four-way for the Cruiserweight Championship. I thought maybe, on the off chance, if anyone's going to dethrone Murphy, it would be Hitami. But nope. And that just caps off the time that Hideo Itami had, just injuries and bad bookings. And yeah, of course he's going to move. So it feels like the grass is really looking greener every single week. The more we talk about AEW and the more we talk about WWE's reaction to AEW, it feels like, yeah, the other side's got a little bit more going for it. And again, we mentioned it's not a competition. It's not meant to be a competition. But it feels like WWE are treating it like that. And AEW do not have the resources to compete against WWE yet. They have not even had they had their ticket announcement next week. They haven't had their first show yet. But the fact that all these stars could potentially go there, and it's giving the independent stars more power, more options, more wiggle room to negotiate better prices for themselves, more benefits. It's kind of hard to make it seem like this is contract wars. This is just all straight up contract wars. I will try and keep this going, guys, as best I can. So I'll move on to some AEW news. So apparently AEW have signed Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta allegedly. So according to them, they are on the move to AEW. So of course, former stars with New Japan and Ring of Honor. So they will be leaving New Japan in the near future, and they of course expect to be on the way. And like, who knows? Like I mentioned, Dean Ambrose and Hideo Itami, maybe they might be leaving. Like if you add up all the stuff I've been talking about the last 2 weeks, you had the Revival, Mike and Maria Kanellis. They've been asking for their releases supposedly, right? And we could add as well, as reported by Dave Meltz on Wrestling Observer Radio, Sammy Guevara has actually left MLW. So MLW, and this wasn't a leave on bad terms, fortunately, which is always good to say. It's just the fact that Sammy just double booked with other promotions he's got going on, and because of that, he hasn't had a chance to build his character in MLW. I think his last showing was, was it against DJZ or it was against Promociones Dorada? It was somewhere around there. It's been a while since he's been on MLW, and the rumor is, according to Meltzer, that he will be joining All Elite Wrestling along with Kylie Ray as well. Like all these stars, like this is still allegedly. We do not know. Maybe we'll see. We'll know more at February 7th, the ticket announcement. We might see some more stars appear there, and we can always follow AEW's Double or Nothing episodes on the Nightmare Family YouTube channel. All of this sounds like really exciting stuff. I will focus on some more light-hearted WWE news. So while WWE are frantically trying to combat the perceived threat that they feel is happening, they've actually signed some former alumni to be backstage producers and executives to help out the younger talent. So you've got Shane Helms, aka the Hurricane. You have JEFF, JARRET, Jeff Jarrett, and Davari. So it looks like they are all doing backstage roles. Jeff Jarrett was, of course, on last week's Raw. Like with Road Dogg there as well. Just memories. Memories. So it's nice that these stars, it's nice that while at the same time WWE are going at combating themselves or what they believe is perceived threat, it's nice that they are looking after the veterans who have come before. So they are not solely focused on this contract kerfuffle that we have in place here. I've got a couple more stories, guys, before I wrap up. I've got news about MLW and Impact collaborating. Kinda. For their April showings, April 4th, they both actually have live events in the same state. They're in the same vicinity. They're like an hour's drive from each other. I believe MLW is on first, and then you have Impact, which is on later. But they've actually agreed to make it so that if fans went to go to both, they would be able to drive between them. So for the fans, these two promotions have gone into a discussion just to say, look, we'll make this easier for everybody to make our events more accessible. And hey, who knows, maybe we'll get more fans from Impact going over to MLW to checking out the show. Maybe there'll be vice versa. I really like this. It's kind of a bit of wholesome news. Now, there are a lot of Impact stars in MLW. You've got like the Lucha Brothers. Low-Key was an original TNA Impact star. You've got Sami Callihan. There's a lot of people there. This could be the start of some more more collaboration between the promotions, which I'm all for. It shouldn't be separate. Like, there should be a bit of like healthy working relationships going on. So this could be a nice starting point. Just like, oh, you trusted us with this, and like, hey, maybe we could say that, look, we need the Lucha Brothers for this show. Or hey, how about we bring over the Hart Foundation over Impact? Or hey, how about we bring your John Hennigan over, who hasn't been in MLW since he faced off against Low-Ki, right? I would really look forward to that, because Impact hasn't been great as of late, but at the same time, I want them to succeed. And if they start seeing these relationships with stars, with promotions like MLW, who have all these sponsors now, like GoDaddy, they will have a stronger future, a more viable future for them than if they were trying to handle things by themselves. So happy for that. For you guys who are going to those events in April over in America, best of luck to you. I hope they have fantastic showings. And I'll also mention, so AEW and New Japan. So it was asked, Yahoo Japan actually asked the president of New Japan whether AEW would work together with New Japan again. Well, again, I say because after Wrestle Kingdom, the Young Bucks actually discussed with New Japan, with Ring of Honor, what their working relationship would be. And at the time, they said no. So they said that they would not have a relationship. But it's actually come out now that the president of New Japan is saying that, oh, we'll see how their business is done first. So they're going to tentatively wait until the first few episodes of All Elite Wrestling have come out. And then after that, who knows? Because the fact that they are just dangling this, like, at first it was an outright no, we're not going to. Now it's like, maybe for the right offer, if the mood's right, if the settings work out. This umming and ahhing kind of says to me that, yeah, we thought we could handle not having a Mega, but like we kind of want a Mega if you guys are going to have him in AEW. So that's what it feels like to me. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like, yeah, they're still high on having Omega put on 5-star matches with the likes of Okada and Tanahashi. And of course, like, if that's true, then you could still have matches with Chris Jericho. And you could have the Young Bucks again. You could have the American Nightmare in there again. You could have all these stars. And it would be this great access point for AEW and New Japan to keep going. So we've got a couple more stories here, guys. Triple H actually answered during a Q&A for the Royal Rumble access before the Royal Rumble started. One of the fans actually asked about whether WWE would incorporate intergender wrestling back into their product. Now, if you've watched the Royal Rumble, there was a little thing that happened during it that some people did not like. I didn't mind it personally, but what happened was, what was meant to happen was R-Truth came out at number 30, but instead he was blindsided by Nia Jax. Now we have a women's Royal Rumble and a men's Royal Rumble now. And Nia Jax inserted herself into the men's Royal Rumble, making her the 4th woman ever in a Royal Rumble match, in a men's Royal Rumble predominantly. Of course, we had Chyna, we had Karma / Awesome Kong, and we had the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix. So she's in there, and she gets a bit of offense in, and then she proceeds to get RKO'd. She gets a 619 done, and she gets tossed out. That's pretty much what happens. So nice bit of, I forget who she eliminated. I should have looked it up. But like, no sooner had WWE been asked, the Triple H had been asked this question, the very next day, Nia Jax was in the Royal Rumble. Now, this, according to some reports from the Wrestling Observer, and according to what we can see, this looks like WWE are trying to test the waters about intergender wrestling. Now, when Triple H was initially asked that question during the Q&A, he actually said, he actually brought note of the fact that his match at WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey, of course, Ronda and Kurt Angle facing off against Triple H and Stephanie, but there were moments in that match where Ronda was facing Triple H. Now, previously it was any intergender matches, the guys cannot face the girls. That's how it's always been for a long time, since the early 2000s. And WWE, by their own choice, made that rule, and it was reinforced by their sponsors, who did not want to see male on female violence. But now it seems like the way they are tackling the women's scene, that his response was he wants to focus more on developing the women's side of things before he does that, before he feels like they're going to focus on that more. But at the same time, he said never say never. I hope that's true. I miss the days of China as the Intercontinental Champion against Jeff Jarrett. We have Jeff Jarrett back. Why not bring in some? And one of the things I think we should all acknowledge is the fact that Nia is not your typical WWE female star, because she is not the same size as a lot of the girls. Like, they're more petite. So the fact that she is one of those people who could, like, overpower some of the smaller guys. And again, also on SmackDown, you had Dean Ambrose and Nia Jax. They had a little bit of square off. Sorry, on Raw, I do apologize. On Raw, they had a little bit of a square off, especially with Dean Ambrose on the leave. So he's doing the rounds, like trying to put over some of the stars. So Nia Jax is, one, being seen as like this big, like, thuggish star in the women's division and in the men's potentially. And two, yeah, they want to try and slowly bring back this idea of intergender wrestling. I hope it's true. I do hope it's true. Where, yes, like, it does make some people cringy, and one of the the best responses I've heard to this is just that we don't trust WWE with doing intergender wrestling, which I can see that. Like, but if they do it right, it can be done really well. Like, after, it's like, naturally, we should focus on the fact that we're going to have women's tag team titles coming out soon. So what after that, then you have a bit of a period where, like, then you can slowly bring in more ideas and get people acclimatized to the idea of the women's wrestlers going up against the men. And it can be something simple as them, like, the guys trying to what's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to berate the people, saying like, oh, your championship isn't a real championship, and you can start a feud from there just by saying that. It's saying like, oh, what you have is nothing, like what we have, like, and you can start a feud from there, just like people knocking the women's division and then being overpowered. So if they're going to do intergender wrestling again, like, you have to acknowledge the fact that, yes, you can have female and male violence, but of course, like, how they go about the male and female violence remains to be seen. I've got one little bit piece of news to say see you to you guys. PETA, of course, for those of you who know, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, they've written an article on the planet's champion, Daniel Bryan. I never thought I would see the day. Now, I'll read the article title out. Yes, WWE star Daniel Bryan debuts new vegan championship belt, and they are gushing about the fact that he has given a eco-friendly belt made entirely of hemp, and they applaud him for this. They applaud the self-proclaimed amateur environmentalist for spotlighting just how cruel and unnecessary it is to use intelligent, sensitive cow skins to make a belt. Now, I don't think they realize, like, yes, like, Daniel Bryan does have these viewpoints, but I don't think they realize the context of what he's doing it for. Like, they just say that they just promoting the fact that he's just done this, and they're not even looking at just like, but why did he do it? Is it a slant on the fact that WWE painting him as the bad guy for being an environmentalist? Like, no mention of that. Which, like, read the article. Just type in Daniel Bryan PETA, like, with the vegan belt. It's one of the best articles you'll read. It's actually really good. Now, and I also, apparently, because some of some championship belt makers around America were actually asked just how much did WWE spend on the hemp belt. And they said because for the not current anymore, but for the championship title made from leather, made from Daisy, usually looked about $2,000 US. And they said for the hemp belt, it looks like they did about $6,000 worth of stuff just for that belt. Like, it looks like Daniel Bryan has got a huge chip on his shoulder. I'm sorry, I should leave now. I just had to say that one. But just check out this Peter interview, guys. Like, I had never laughed so much in my life. That's all the time we've got for, guys. If you want to follow us, please just leave a like. If you like what we do here, of course, please leave us a comment and please leave us a 5-star review. It really does make a difference. We love to hear from you guys. If you want to follow myself, I'm at Mr Mysterious with the 1 and 7 I on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the socials. And if you want to follow Greg Unchained, he is at Greg Unchained on Twitter or at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. If you want to follow us here at the B+, we are at the B+ Wrestle because wrestling wouldn't fit on Twitter, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. I'll also mention we have our Patreon. We have been making some bonus episodes for you guys where some fans in the higher tiers who've been contributing, they leave us a topic about what to discuss, and we have a round table. It's been really fun to have these round tables with you guys. I did one last week where we talked about the top 5 wrestlers we've seen perform live. If you want to see some more really great content, please get involved with our Patreon. Give us more suggestions because we want to make this channel grow. And we've also released a new Facebook group, the Australian Wrestling Community. Look it up. Join us. If you're a fan of Australian wrestling or you're an Australian who is a fan of wrestling, join up. You'll be connected with all the people in charge of a lot of the promotions around Australia who are fans or people who are fans of the promotions around Australia, just talking about what's going on in the Australian wrestling scene. And people saying that, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, I didn't know there was wrestling here. Well, now you do. And we want to try and promote that and make sure that you guys know exactly what's going on because that's what we're here for. We're here to promote Australian wrestling. We're here to promote watch global, support local. That is our motto here, and that's what I 100% truly believe. So, from all of us out here in the B+ Nation, guys, like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Mr Mysterious. I'll see you later.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
So, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold 2. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy. Hold 3. The moss covered.